Welcome back to InfoWars Nightly News. This is Mike Adams, the Health Ranger, hosting tonight. Thank you for continuing to join us. We've always got really interesting breaking news for you here on InfoWars Nightly News. And tonight we have a special guest. He's a researcher and a contributing writer to Infowars.com. He's also the co-founder of naturalsociety.com. None other than Anthony Gucciardi right here in the studio with breaking news about Monsanto and collusion with the USDA. Anthony, great to have you in the studio, man.
Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah, we've got some amazing information, an exclusive letter actually, that shows Monsanto may have been planting genetically modified alfalfa and subsequently contaminating entire organic food supply, per se, before it was actually allowed and approved by the USDA.
Now, I understand you have letters that the public has never seen. They're being published here on InfoWars Nightly News first. And how did you come by these letters? I don't know how much you can share, actually, but yeah, what's the story?
Well, there's a lot of information. I can't obviously share everything with you. We've blocked out some of the personal information from the contact here, but we have a letter to the USDA from Cal West Seed Company explaining how Monsanto's Roundup Ready genes, which were from the alfalfa seeds, were actually being found before they were approved by the USDA, which was in 2005.
Okay, so wait a minute, if you don't mind me just paraphrasing.
Sure.
So this letter proves that the genetically modified alfalfa was being grown and harvested before it was ever approved by the USDA.
That's correct. Here we have in the letter, it says, we first discovered the unintended presence of the Roundup Ready gene in our conventional alfalfa seed in 2005. It would appear that there were a significant amount of Roundup Ready alfalfa seed in production in place in 2005 prior to deregulation, which is approval by the USDA. Given the nature of this crop, this is concerning to us. And this is to the USDA, so they were fully aware of it, and they didn't address this.
This is a smoking gun that proves collusion between the USDA and the genetically modified biotech industry then.
And it was being shipped also, you'll see here, to an organic seed supplier. So this could, and this was just one random testing.
Right.
And they just dismiss it. Could you imagine if the TSA found someone with a bomb in the airport, they would lock it down. But they don't even seem to care.
Well, that's a great metaphor, because this is really a genetic time bomb that is loose in the wild, just like you said, like a terrorist comes into the airport with a bomb in their pocket, let's say, or their underwear, as the TSA loves to check for. But this is a genetic time bomb in the crops, and this letter was sent to the USDA in what year? When did they get this?
It was between 2005 and 2007. They knew in 2005, and they received this particular one in 2007. So
wow.
they had years and years to do something about it, but they just let Monsanto go.
Now, to your knowledge, and I know you're a great researcher, so I know you've checked this out, did the USDA ever admit, following this, that they had allowed Monsanto, or
No.
that Monsanto was doing this without approval?
The USDA says nothing on the issue.
Total
They
silence.
just completely ignore it, despite the fact that it could mean that organic food is being contaminated by GMOs. It could mean that traditional seeds were planted and just contaminating crops. And in fact, there's farmers now that are trying to sell their crops overseas, and they're being rejected because it has too high a percentage of GMO contamination inside of it. So they don't even know. It's really just widespread.
Now, on your website, naturalsociety.com, you've covered a lot about Monsanto and the USDA, GMOs, and so on. Does this, in your opinion, fit a pattern of collusion and cover-ups at the highest levels of government concerning GMOs?
Oh, absolutely. The USDA has a very serious relationship with Monsanto. In fact, they actually decided to hasten the period in which the crops are approved for use. So generally, they have safety testings that could last an extensive period of time. In some cases, as short as a month, which is ridiculous.
A month?
They have no idea what the long-term consequences are.
It's just a little sprout. I mean, what are they talking about?
That's absolutely nothing. But they're actually hastening it now because they want Monsanto to have the competitive financial edge, and it's actually here on a Bloomberg report. The goal is to cut in half the time needed to approve biotech crops from the current average of 3 years down way low. Approvals that took just 6 months in the 1990s have lengthened because of increased public interest, more legal challenges, and the advent of national organic food standards.
So we shouldn't have standards.
And they're saying that activism is causing a cog in the wheel. So it's actually showing how effective it is. They go on to say, they are trying to work the system so they can dismiss the public comments more quickly and easily in order to speed things up.
Well, how hard is it for them to hit delete right now anyway? What are they going to do, just hit delete faster?
And look at the Just Label It campaign. They had 1 million signatures, and the FDA said, sorry, doesn't count.
I remember that, right. You covered that. What did they deleted most of those signatures and just dumped it down to, what, 10,000 or something?
It was even lower than that. Yeah, it was in the hundreds, and they said, this doesn't count, sorry.
Anthony, so what we're seeing here, this is a clear example of total runaway corporate fascism. This is corporate controlled government for the benefit of the corporations that is betraying the interests of the people. In this case, betraying potentially the future of the food supply.
And highlighting activists as the root cause of the problem. They're saying we can't get the GMOs out quick enough because these pesky activists, these pesky individuals like us and Alex Jones, they're on air saying how bad they are. How dare they say that? They don't need testing. They don't need anything. This needs to get out right away, or else financial problems can come from Monsanto.
We should have a giant victory cheer right now then.
Yeah, it's actually good news. It's really good news.
Go out for all the nightly news viewers, because you have been effective. Alex has been effective. Your website, my website. As a team, we have been effective in throwing some wrenches into their machinery.
Here's a USDA representative in Bloomberg saying it's those activists. They're putting a cog in the wheel.
Those dang activists. How dare they tell the truth about GMOs? How dare they demand GMOs be labeled so that consumers can actually see what's in their food?
And then,
oh my God.
Exactly. And then when we're pushing for labeling, Monsanto says, oh, we'll sue you if you try to label it, because there's no difference at all.
They threatened Vermont, right?
Yeah.
With a lawsuit.
And as you mentioned once on naturalnews.com, you said if they were so proud of their crops, if they were so proud and they said they're so safe, why would they be against labeling it? They should show it off.
Do you happen to know what's the status of the Vermont situation with the labeling laws?
They're terrified. They don't want to be sued by Monsanto.
Do you know what action they're taking?
They're not taking much action at all.
So they're terrified.
Yeah, they're very terrified. Some of the legislators are going and they're saying, well, we're going to take approach. We're going to take a very slow approach. We'll look at everything. But Monsanto scared them off, for sure.
Well, now wait a minute. This reminds me of the situation in Texas, where the Texas legislature was ready to pass the laws that said we're going to outlaw TSA in Texas airports. Then the federal government comes in and says we're going to have an air embargo against the state of Texas. We'll have fighter jets shoot down airplanes or whatever they said. I mean, it was like almost a declaration of war. So now we have Monsanto threatening Vermont.
States' rights.
Not only that, but this is like a runaway corporate thug, where the corporation is more powerful than the state. I mean, George Orwell warned us about exactly that.
It's all tied in. It's all tied in. Here's F. William Engdahl. He says, in a June 1998 interview, USDA spokesman Willard Phelps defined the U.S. government policy on Terminator seeds, which is Monsanto seeds. Yeah. He explained that the USDA wanted technology to be, quote, widely licensed and made expeditiously available to many seed companies. So here we have them working together. They also went on, he meant agribusiness GMO giants like Monsanto, DuPont, or Dow. In this case, specifically Monsanto. The USDA was open about their reasons. They wanted to get the Terminator seeds into developing worlds where the Rockefeller Foundation had made eventual proliferation of genetically modified crops the heart of its GMO strategy from the beginning of its Rice Genome Project in 1984. So they're trying as hard as they possibly can to get these seeds into third world nations, just explode the financial income, just get it out, because it's killing people worldwide for sure. We know that.
Well, I think there's a bigger question here, and I want to ask for your comments on this. This is also about corporate ownership over all property in nature. When we talk about corporate patents on genes and seeds and medicines and even animals, didn't Monsanto try to patent a pig? Maybe they even awarded a patent. I don't remember.
They're going after chickens. They're going after many different things.
They want to own life.
Trees.
Trees, yes. They want to own everything. So the real risk here, even though GMOs themselves are a huge risk, isn't it also that we have a risk of living in a world that is entirely dominated by corporate ownership? And that ownership is enforced by government soldiers and henchmen at gunpoint.
Yes, it comes down to patents too, because when Monsanto plants genetically modified crops and they go over to the organic field next door and it starts contaminating the organic produce, then Monsanto owns that. Because it's patented seed. They're patenting life. And that's why India slammed them with biopiracy charges, because they're saying that they own something that you really can't own.
Well, my understanding is that presently about 20% of the human genome is owned by various research universities.
I think that's climbing now as well.
And corporations. Yeah, it might be.
I think it's even higher.
30%?
Yeah.
So think about this. When you have a baby, you are committing piracy according to the corporate lawyers. Just because you've replicated a patented genetic code, and there is your baby, now you owe royalties to the corporation. If Monsanto can sue the farmer for the seeds, they could sue you for having babies.
How about when you eat genetically modified corn too? The expression of the genes in the corn goes into your own body, so you are essentially your patented technology as well. If you really want to get down to it, everything is patented, and it gets to a point where they can own basically everything.
they can claim ownership over your body.
Claim ownership. They do
right,
not
they
actually
claim
own
it.
They claim it.
Right, but of course, what people like you and I and Alex Jones and many others out there, the activists who are standing up for truth and fundamental human rights is what we're talking about here. We are, as this document admits, we are already achieving success at holding these people back. I want to ask you personally, because you are one of the younger individuals who's come on the scene as a really hardcore researcher. You've uncovered some really incredible breaking news. You deserve credit, and your website, naturalsociety.com, has done amazing work. What got you motivated to, to join the alternative media like this and be, you're putting yourself at some risk by putting your name out there and telling the truth. It's always risky in a dishonest world.
Particularly this document, actually.
So
come on the air. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to release this document. Well, I actually became sick about 7 years ago. I had a very debilitating disease. I had Lyme disease.
Oh yeah, that can
and my doctor gave me steroids, which was very ineffective. I slept one day from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. the next day. Oh. And so I was sick. I thought I might die. Everyone around was freaking out about Lyme disease. What are we going to do? What's going to happen? So what I eventually did was I started taking colloidal silver, started taking oregano oil, started changing my life because I went online. And the internet is really the new paradigm of information, period.
Sure.
You can go talk to your doctor all you want, and he's probably going to feed you a bunch of lies. You can go on the internet
and charge you prescription fees for them too.
Exactly. And that's not to say you can self-diagnose yourself on the internet with WebMD and everything like that. That's all to get you to go to your doctor anyway. But I started finding alternatives and started trying them and say, wow, these actually work. And then what happened was I went to my doctor and I said, I started taking this Supernatural Silver, which is a sponsor, actually. I found it on the Alex Jones Show. Started taking oregano oil, changing my diet, eating raw foods, 100% organic. And he said, oh, that's just a coincidence. It must have been the steroids.
Oh, really? He told you it's a coincidence?
Just a complete coincidence.
Yeah, I had a doctor that told me that my cure of my pre-diabetic condition was wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking?
Yeah, it was wishful thinking.
Wow.
It's like, hey, where's Alex's magic wand? We need to wave that around here right now. Wave the magic wand, wishful thinking. Yours was a coincidence.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
And then we have hit pieces going out. I've actually told my story before, and I've had a hit piece from someone from Harvard. And they said, oh, well, that's impossible, blah, blah, blah. And they go and dissect my site, and they say, oh, Natural Society says that positive thinking can improve your health. Obviously, they're quacks.
That?
Yeah, they deny that. They say there's no evidence whatsoever. And then we have studies coming out that the people who wake up in the morning and think of positive things like a spring day or clouds, they eat more healthy throughout the day. They eat more raw foods. They exercise more because they feel empowered. But that's not true.
Well,
the mind is worthless.
You're not being effective until you get attacked.
Yes.
And then when they target you, then you're making an impact, Anthony. I'm fortunate that I have a really common name, Mike Adams. That's my real name. And so there are a lot of Mike Adams out there in the world. I've been accused of being a car thief, a crack dealer. There's a football player who's a Mike Adams.
I saw that, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of Mike Adams out there. So your name is very unique. No one's going to find another Anthony Gucciardi, I think, out there.
Yeah, which is a big target.
Right.
You Google my name, who knows what you might see.
Oh, who knows?
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll help you out. We'll link to you with your name to a page that tells the truth about your story.
Thank you.
How about that?
There we go.
Good. So let me ask you, is there anything else on this story about the Monsanto GMOs, first of all?
Absolutely. F. William Engdahl continues here. Oh, we have the magic wand. Let's wave it around.
The magic wand. This is, what about the fairy dust? Is there fairy dust that goes with this? All right, so next time, Anthony, next time you go to your doctor, take him this. Tell him this is what cured you of Lyme disease.
The magic wand.
Yes.
Anything besides colloidal silver, that's probably more likely in his eyes.
This is like something from the Renaissance Festival.
Yeah.
Like a real craftsman made
Maybe
this.
they might use that. An MD might use that to try and treat your cancer.
This is great. Okay, sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Engdahl continues, USDA's Phelps, which was the spokesman, stated that the U.S. government's goal in fostering the widest possible development of the Terminator technology was to increase the value of proprietary seed owned by U.S. seed companies and to open up new markets in the second and third world countries. So they're dispersing the seed.
Right.
Under WTO rules on free trade and agriculture, countries...
Genetic imperialism is what comes, GMO imperialism.
Yes.
That's the paraphrase of what you just read.
Exactly. Countries are forbidden to impose their own national health restrictions on GMO imports if it is deemed to be an unfair trade barrier.
Wow. Well, remember the WikiLeaks leaked some memos out of Spain where I believe it was the U.S. diplomats there that said if Spain doesn't go along with the GMO agenda, we will punish them.
Absolutely.
Those are his own words.
And it's even deeper than